Hi, all. Well, I was thinking to myself the other day, and I'm going to call this video the fear porn loop because I feel like that's what we did. So what I'm doing, I email myself all of these articles, right? Because I feel like we're stuck in a loop, right? And they're just doing the same thing. So I found some evidence about this. So we're going to go back in time to the great mortality, plague to world, drop dead. Or was it elites to world, drop dead? The great mortality and intimate history of the Black Death, the most devastating plague of all time, by John Kelly. So this is an article from 2005. The tsunami that scoured the Bay of Bengal inevitably prompted speculation that it was nature's revenge against humanity for despoiling the earth. But if Gaia were really out to get us, she'd unleash another plague like the Black Death, which killed an estimated 25 million Europeans, a third of the population in less than 5 years. That pandemic, John Kelly plausibly asserts in The Great Mortality, stands as the greatest natural disaster in history. Notice the Great Reset, the Great Depression, the Great Mortality, right? Think about this. So I was looking in here and I was thinking to myself, where did where did the Black Plague supposedly come from? So here we go. When the Mongols conquered most of Eurasia in 13th century, their empire gave new life to dormant east-west trade routes. The road that beckoned Marco Polo to China also drew the plague from its lair in Central Asia. See, here we go again, right? We have the Great Plague here, the Black Death, supposedly starting in China too. And from a rat, right? Instead of a bat or a swine or a bird, right? Like they keep doing. That's why I'm calling it the fear porn loop. It's just a loop. They're using the same things, right? So Kelly notes that the pandemic afflicted China, India, the Middle East, and North Africa, but his story takes place mostly in Europe, where plague had reached Crimea by 1346. Genoese ships brought it to Sicily in the autumn of 1347, and from there it jumped to the mainland, creeping along little rat's feet from country to country for a terrifying half decade until it finally circled back to Russia and burned itself out. Along the way, it killed half the population of Florence, about 50,000 people, but spared Boccaccio, who went to write the Decameron. In Avignon, it killed Petrarch's Laura and sent Pope Clement VI fleeing for his life. Then across the English Channel, we see death coming into our midst like black smoke, a Welsh poet wrote. A plague would cut off the young, a rootless phantom which has no mercy for fair countenance. I mean, this is the same stuff we're hearing today, right? Like I showed you with the last video about the propaganda about children dying from it. Fourth century scientists were stumped. The medical faculty of the University of Paris blamed a major conjunction of three planets in Aquarius for the plague. Do we not just see all of these celestial, like the conjunction we had the other night? Right? To appease a wrathful god, self-scourging flagellants trooped from town to town, bringing their passion play of blood, pain, and redemption to the multitudes. Europe's Jews, who were accused of causing the disease, became the target of pogroms. The Pope condemned these attacks, pointing out that the plague was killing Jews too. It can even be argued, Kelly wrote, that Clement was a bolder defender of the Jews than Pius VII. I'm sorry, the 12th, the Pope who presided over the church during World War II. But Clement could save no one, Christian or Jew, from what seemed like a looming apocalypse. This is the end of the world, a tax collector in Siena wrote. Putting a tax collector, maybe this is Klaus Schwab in 1346, putting the calamity in a modern context, Kelly estimates that in 2005, a demographic disaster on the scale of Black Death would claim 1.9 billion lives. And then the plague vanished. You know, this is very interesting. Think about to yourself. So we got some ships that come in to a port, right? And this is the story. And there were so many rats that got off the ship that had fleas on them, right? Because I will show you in later articles that basically everybody on the ship was like dead. It was like that movie Nosferatu, where the ship comes into port and it's got all the rats on it, and that's all that's left, right? So this one I thought was interesting. Rats aren't to blame for the Black Death. Well, think about it. How do you get that many fleas from rats on that many people to cause something like this? You know, it's very interesting. Like, it was even the Black Plague real? You know, like we know COVID-19 isn't. A provocative new study suggests that medieval plague spread via fleas and lice on people. So, you know, rats have long been blamed for spreading the parasites that transmitted the plague throughout medieval Europe and Asia, killing millions of people. Now, a provocative new study. Oh, God. I hate this. They always do this to you, you know? It's like they want to take your information. That is a valid email address. Jesus. All right, guess you guys have my email if you want to write to me. Rats have been long blamed for spreading the parasites that transmitted the plague. Now, a new study has modeled these long ago breakouts and suggests that maligned rodents may have not been the culprits of all. After all, yeah, I think it was the same shit that they're doing now. It's just an economic demolition, and people start dying of some sort of pestilence. So, fleas and body lice. During the second pandemic, a series of devastating outbreaks that spanned from the 1300s to the early 1800s.